Welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. I'm Bob Delaney, Executive Director of the Institute for Labor Studies and Research. Labor Vision, a production of the Institute, focuses on topics of importance to working Rhode Island families. We hope you enjoy this evening's edition.
Good evening. Welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. My name is Jim Riley. I'm the Labor Liaison at the Rhode Island Institute for Labor Studies and Research, and I'll be your host this evening. The Rhode Island Institute for Labor Studies and Research has been producing specialty, customized educational and training programs for Rhode Island workers and union members for over 35 years. Some of the programs offered include the Adult Workplace Education Project, the Summer Youth Workplace Rights Education Project, customized job skills programs, the Teacher Assistant Program, Labor Vision Television, free college through our partnership with Gateway Community College, and our signature Leadership for a Future program. With these programs and others, the ILSR has proven itself to be one of the most unique organizations in the history of the labor movement. On tonight's Labor Vision program, we will be highlighting our Workplace Adult Education Project, or ESL classes. My guests are Desiree Leclair, Senior Program Director at the Institute, and Sabine Adrian, Adult Literacy Coordinator. So tell me, you are the professionals, you do a great job at the Institute, we're very proud of the work that you do. What is ESL?
ESL stands for English as a Second Language. So it's sometimes also called ELL, English Classes for English Language Learners, or ESOL, which is a little bit sometimes more accurate because English as a second language doesn't always acknowledge that some of our students speak 2, 3, 4 languages before they're learning English. And so ESOL is the term that we use, English for speakers of other languages.
ESOL is something that's offered worldwide. It's offered in multiple countries. It's offered nationally. It has its own, along with adult basic education, it has its own set of criteria, learning standards, and different methods of programming that are available. And in Rhode Island, we have a very significant system of English speakers of other language classes. The Institute offers classes at a number of sites, and our populations vary greatly.
So who participates in these programs, and where are the venues?
We have students from many countries. We have many students from Colombia, Haiti, Senegal.
Oh my God. Guatemala, China, Japan. We have from Syria. We have a lot of Syrian students.
And you know, people might be taking the class to be able to understand their boss at work, or be able to help their kids with their homework, or
grandchildren, right?
Or just be able to communicate with people around them and, you know, navigate life in the U.S. more independently.
The Institute offers classes at the Pawtucket Public Library. That's where we have a lot of our community classes. We also have offered classes for the last 2 years at Fuerza Laboral. We've offered classes at Rhode Island Resource Recovery for a lot of their workers. Those are individuals who English is still a foreign language. They're not able to really understand their supervisors, and the purpose of those classes is really to assist them in you know, being able to understand safety in the workplace, which helps to mitigate some of the injuries that they might experience, you know, in the workplace. We've worked with 1199 SEIU Northeast and have provided English classes at Women and Infants Hospital as well as Rhode Island Hospital. The Institute really works hard to work with labor in the state of Rhode Island to provide a lot of employment, in ESOL classes on work sites across the state in order to increase worker knowledge as well as help people with transitioning to higher paying jobs. A lot of times, like I said, with resource recovery, it's to sort of mitigate safety issues. It's to understand workers' rights, which, as you mentioned, was one of our main programs. That allows us as the Institute to be a good player for ESOL classes, because that is something that we offer that other places don't, is that employer-labor relationship. We are working on trying to host classes at Twin River Casino, as well as the Veterans Home in Bristol. We have an agreement to actually offer classes in 2018 at the Painters Union, IUPAT District Council 11. And we're also working on classes at a number of other employment sites as yet to be determined. But we're always interested in having more employers on board with us, especially those that work with the labor community.
As you could probably imagine, I'm sure that it's extremely important to employers that their employees are proficient in English. I understand that there's a program at Rhode Island Resource Recovery. Matter of fact, I was in the organized department at the United Food and Commercial Workers many years ago in another life, and we had an organizing campaign and organized those workers. And but what I understand, there's an incentive also for this employer. It's so important for him or to her or to them to have their employees proficient in English that they have a monetary incentive.
They do. So in the past, that program has run, the individuals took place, we had two different levels, fiscal year FY17. We had two different levels. We had an advanced level and an intermediate level and a beginner level. And upon completion of those classes, the individuals who took part in those classes, and again, those classes were offered on site. So individuals would literally leave work for the day and there would be classes available for them 2 nights a week. And upon completion, they would get $500 as an incentive to complete it. So that was to assist them with additional childcare expenses that they might have incurred through having to be late. They were in class until about 5:30, 6 o'clock, so they might have had to pay for extra childcare or even just transportation to and from, or transportation home because they were not able to pay for their regular transportation or get their regular transportation. So that was a great program, and we're hoping that it will start again in 2018.
I think that's a practice that most of the employers should follow. Make it easier, make it rewarding, not only easier. Look, everybody wants to learn English. If you're in this country and you're not speaking English, it's a harder life for you. Individuals want to learn how to speak English. It's a question of getting them the venues, getting to them, and making it worth their while as well. You can have 4 or 5 people, maybe they can carpool together and take the course together, and then back and forth. And they get a reward at the end for doing that. And it's a reward for the employer, too, because it's a better, more harmonious workplace. And like you said, I liked what you said about the parents are being able to help their children with their homework. I mean, there's those kinds of things. And tell me some more about, like, some of the things that you've found out, and the simple, nice, good stories about what's happened in individuals' lives as a result of them learning how to speak English.
Sure. A lot of students, well, most students face many barriers in getting to class and then improving their language skills. Transportation, childcare, those are big ones that stop people from being able to take a class in the community or where they work to get this opportunity. But we see, a lot of determination, and students who are able to overcome those barriers and come consistently to class do improve, we do a reading comprehension test at the beginning and at the end of every semester, and we see, some students make, really big gains because they've been able to consistently come to class and just be exposed to, to the language and work on their reading, their writing, their speaking, their listening skills. I think the biggest thing that we see, biggest change in students is just confidence. You know, you feel better about yourself when you see that you're able to communicate with the people that you need to. And so I see a lot of people who go through, you know, a semester and improve and show improvement on our tests, or even just in their level of confidence. They feel like, you know, they're more able to be they're able to be independent. They can get things done, you know.
It's empowering.
It's
really.
empowering.
And that's what the Institute tries to do. And I think that's what all ESOL providers do try to do, is empower their students and empower their clients to really be able to go out into the community and be, you know, meaningful members. You know, maybe an ESOL student is a student who isn't a citizen of the United States yet, but now they're able to better complete that interview process while they are learning the language better, and now they're better able to answer and respond to those questions, or at least they understand them a little bit better. You know?
Or even things like passing a driver's test. That's a very concrete
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
thing that, you know, one student mentioned that they were working on that this fall semester, that the English class was going to help them pass their test and get a driver's license, and you know, that opens many doors. So.
And one of the things too that English classes, excuse me, does provide is an opportunity for a better pathway. So an individual who comes into our program, we had one individual who took English classes for a number of semesters, and then he graduated out of our program. He had gone to an advanced level, and he enrolled at CCRI, you know, Community College of Rhode Island. And, you know, he's successfully in a college degree program. He would not have had that opportunity if he had not taken part in English classes.
These things just don't happen. We get support from organizations and over at the Institute for Labor Studies. And tell us about some of the organizations that help us provide for these programs. How are they funded? And some of the heroes that help us do the great work that we do.
So the Institute works with a lot of funding providers. Our main ESOL provider is the Department of Education. We do get a grant from them, and recently we received some funding from the Governor's Workforce Board through our Pathways grant. In addition to the employers that we worked with that I mentioned before, who provide us with, you know, not only monetary reimbursements to people who might successfully complete the program, they might donate time, worker time. Maybe it's a 1 hour on, 1 hour off agreement for paid time within the classroom. They might also provide us with space, which we don't have to pay for. That's free to the Institute. But additionally, we work with a local Catholic Campaign for Human Development. They've given us some money. Citizens Bank, Pawtucket Credit Union, Navigant Credit Union, and there's a couple of other, the White Family Foundation, the Rhode Island Foundation through the Juanita Sanchez grant. Those are all huge helps in providing services, because not only do they allow us to excuse me, provide meaningful funding, they obviously provide us with the opportunity to enhance our programming. For instance, at the library, we do have a photocopier that allows us to make copies on site, so it's not something our teachers have to travel to make those opportunities. And because of some additional funding, for instance, through the Governor's Workforce Board this spring, we will be able to provide not only ESOL classes, but specifically conversation classes, which act as a practicum for our students.
Excellent. Desiree, Sabine, thank you for the fabulous work that you do for the community, and thanks to all the organization that helped the Rhode Island Institute for Labor Studies and Research complete all the great programs that we do. Thank you for watching this edition of Labor Vision. We'll see you next time.
Hello, everyone. This is Tiffany Shlain here from San Francisco for 50/50 Day. We have over 11,000 events happening all over the world in all 50 states and in 65 countries. And those of you that are listening, you can hashtag getting to 50/50 to ask questions, to post videos, and to join into the conversation. It's such an honor to have one of my personal heroes speaking with us today, Dolores Huerta. It's such an honor to meet you. And you know, when we were working on the movie 50/50, we loved just seeing how integral and critical you were in this arc of moving forward on getting to more equality and diversity. So first, just thank you for your incredible career and inspiring so many of us.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. It sounds really amazing.
Well, I'm excited to, I have somebody wonderful interviewing you, Farai Chideya, and she's going to interview, she's coming up next, but I just want to personally say welcome and thank you, and we're so glad you're part of this day. So here is Farai.
Hi there, I'm also an incredible fan of yours, and I just wanted to tell folks tuning in to 50/50 Day a little bit about Dolores Huerta, president and since 2003 founder of the Dolores Huerta Foundation for Community Organizing. And she is a legend in labor organizing, gender organizing, organizing human beings. In 1962, she and Cesar Chavez founded the United Farm Workers Union, and she's received the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Eleanor Roosevelt Award for Human Rights. You can't go wrong with that. And what has it taken for you to sustain decades of activism? What makes you do the work?
Well, it's all about creating leadership, and whenever we do grassroots organizing, and especially getting people involved that have never been involved before, and seeing them do the type of activist work that we need to do to be able to change things. So you see these emerging leaders that nobody knew that they were there, but they're out there somewhere, but you just have to go out there and kind of create the excitement and create the activity, enthusiasm, so that they can come forward.
And you got a major prize and used the money to start your own foundation, and you've been a full-time volunteer ever since. And I was really interested in your program of bringing together neighbors. Tell me a little bit more about the work you do with your foundation.
Well, basically what we do is we raise money to hire and train organizers, and then we train organizers. They go into a community, and we actually work in very low-income communities, often with immigrant families, and through a whole series of what we call house meetings. Each organizer has to meet with 200 people in their homes. I like to use the word Tupperware, parties that people have, and so the organizer will have someone to invite them to their home. The hostess will invite her or his friends to that encounter, and from there they will get another meeting. And it's really exciting because you figure one organizer, they can have 4 meetings with 6 to 8 people in those meetings. At the end of the month, you've actually met with over 100 people. Then we bring them all together and we talk about the issues in the community, things that they need to be solved, and then we make an action plan. And then we get everybody to volunteer that they're going to work on that particular subject. And it's really amazing because our volunteer people that we have organized, they have built gymnasiums, gotten gymnasiums built with their middle schools, gotten swimming pools into the communities, gotten sidewalks and street lights and gutters, things, and sewers that didn't exist in their really, really poor communities. But the most amazing thing is that you have these women that come out as leaders. One of our and she's a farm worker, speaks a very broken English, and not, but she got herself elected to 2 boards, a water board and a school board. And when she was on the school board, she found out that the superintendent was trying to get rid of the breakfast program for farm worker kids. So she got rid of the superintendent instead of the program for the farm worker kids, the breakfast program. Then on the water board, which is in another area where she got herself elected, and then she found out that the manager that they had just hired had been fired for embezzlement from another district. And so she got rid of him. And so then she got called in a grand jury investigation because she did an audit of all of the accounts and found out there was $250,000 missing from this really poor water board. And so she had a grand jury come in, and they're investigating now and just arrested someone who is on suspicion of having something to do with the embezzlement. And this is like a woman who never went to college, speaks very limited English. You make sure that everything is translated into Spanish at the meetings. And just like her name is Leticia Prado. We have many women like herself that are getting themselves elected to school boards and water boards. And this is so important because we have so much discrimination that goes on in our school systems. And in fact, we have filed a lawsuit against our current high school district because of the discrimination against Latino and African American students. And not only that, but they have just voted to bring guns into the schools, if you can imagine. And this is a school where some of the students have actually been tased by security. And so we have this terrible problem. So it's really important that we work to get more women on all kinds of boards, not just school boards, city councils. We just had a vote yesterday where our one Latina woman voted against 4 of our Anglo supervisors to stand up for our immigrants. There was a motion in California, they're trying to pass a law for sanctuary state so that immigrants, if they're arrested for a misdemeanor, that they don't turn them over to ICE. We know that dangerous felons do have to be deported, but not like ordinary farmer girl out there who's not doing anything wrong. And yet, our Board of Supervisors in Kern County, they voted 4-1 to oppose a sanctuary bill for the state of California. And our one woman on the board, she voted with the immigrants. So it's so important that, Eleanor Smeal started the whole idea of the feminization of power. And that's something that the feminist majority has been working on for many years. I'm on that board along with many great women. It was started by Peg Yorkin and Eleanor Smeal. And today I am here at a very, very special event. I am here at the Calvary Women's Services event, which is their annual fundraiser to help homeless women. Can you imagine that? I think in every single community we have women that are homeless, and we think, what can we do to help them? And we don't have the resources, or we don't have the systems to be able to do it. But here, this organization has been able to do that. So I think it's just really amazing. I'm so lucky to be here.
Yeah, I mean, you stay so busy, and your work has always encompassed both men and women, but over the years, it seems much more of it has focused on gender. And one thing that strikes me is that one of my colleagues here at 50/50 Day was saying that today is Mother's Day in Mexico. And of course, in the US, it's Mother's Day on Sunday, and in many other countries. And sometimes it seems like we have this kind of sentimental attachment to women and femininity, whether it's motherhood or girls, but we don't step up to change the structures. So how do you change structures?
Well, I think we as women, we have to do it for ourselves. We can't expect anybody to do it for us. And this is what we tell people when we organize them. You can't expect somebody to come in and solve your problems in your community. You've got to step up, and you've actually got the power to do it yourself. And I think what we have to do is just convince women that they have that power, and also to make sure that they have a feminist agenda. So when we talk about women, we have to also say that women, we as women have to say we're going to stand up for women's reproductive rights. We're going to stand up for our LGBT community. We're going to stand up for labor rights. So we're going to stand up for the environment. So it's not just about being a woman. It's about standing up for the values and the things that we really need to be able to cure our society and also to save our planet. So that's got to be a feminist agenda, not just a woman's agenda. And I think it's good on Mother's Day just to remind on the planet, you came from the body of a woman. I think we forget to tell people that, especially all the misogynist males out there. Remind them where they came from, okay? Where they came from. I think we have to push that more and more so that women can get the respect that they need, because we know at the current rate that we're going, we still have a lot of work to do. And even in the United States, the most powerful country in the world, we're way at the bottom when it comes to women in power and women in public office. But we know that women are leading the charge right now in what's going on in our society. Women are fighting for the true values that we need. And so we have seen this resurgence of women saying, hey, I can do it, and I need to do it, and they're going to get out there and make it happen.
And earlier today, I spoke with Kimberly Crenshaw, who's a law professor and works in civil rights. And she talks a lot about intersectionality, meaning how different identities and communities get together. So how do we support each other across lines of race, class, national origin. You also mentioned LGBTQ identity. You seem very invested in those connections.
Well, I think that we have to reach out. We just can't sit and wait for people to come to us. We've got to reach out to them, especially when it comes to the Latino community. I think the African American community, many of our ethnic communities, people have been so traditionally suggested since we were children. You don't go where you're not wanted. You know, you've got to keep your place. And so we have to say, you know what, the place where everybody, they say, every woman, her place is where she wants to be. And we have to say a woman's place is where she needs to be, where she needs to be. So we've got to fight, you know, for early childhood education so that all women and all families get freed up to do the civic work that we need to do, because we are in a crisis in our world right now. And it's going to be up to a lot of us women, a lot of us feminists, to save our society and to save our world.
Well, I want to thank you so much for all of your service and for just being someone who constantly shines your light on the world. So Dolores Huerta, president and founder of the Dolores Huerta Foundation for Community Organizing, thank you so much and happy 50/50 Day.
Could I just put in a little commercial? There's a documentary film that Carlos Santana produced, and it's right now playing in a lot of film festivals. So if people want to see the film in the community, they could just say hashtag Dolores the movie. Hashtag Dolores the movie. It'll be coming out in September. It's been picked up by the Public Broadcasting Company. So if the theater releases in September and the television release will be in December. And then after that, we can actually use the movie, and this is what we want to do, to really compel people and to motivate them to get into organizing, become active, join your feminist clubs that happen to be in your area, join some organization, and if there isn't one, create one yourself, okay, because we have to do it. Women need to take power. And I want to quote Coretta Scott King, who said, "We will never have peace in the world until women take power. We will never have peace in the world until women take power." So now's the time. Now's the time.
Thank you. And Dolores the movie, I will be tweeting and I will be watching. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Labor Vision. We appreciate your input and encourage your comments. Labor Vision can be seen on this channel 3 times each week: Tuesday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 8 p.m., and Saturday at 5 p.m.